Hello, and welcome to the 2017, but now, I guess, coming into 18, Nerdfighteria Census. This is Hank. Hi. I have just been spending a lot of time going through this data, loading up all the other censuses that we've done, starting here in 2014 with our first Nerdfighter survey, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014, 2013 was the first year that we did it. Okay. And I've made the background colors different on these, as people suggested in the comments of my last video, so that I can see more better which one I'm on. The first thing that we can look at is that the first survey had 150,000 respondents, 130, 100, 70, and 50. So what I take from that is both smaller audience, but also people who are busier and older and have less time to fill out very long surveys. Also, I did notice that the survey has gotten significantly longer this year and every year since we started doing it. And that part of that is that, we always want to gather more data, but we want to gather the same data too, so we can compare year to year. But next year, I'm going to pare down. It's going to be shorter, and I'm going to give myself a limit and say no more than X number of questions. So, yeah. I apologize that it was so very, very long this year. So we can look at our first question: which Nerdfighteria censuses have you done? And I can go ahead and load all those up. And there's this. see it from year to year. So a lot of people here filled out 2016's survey, and a lot of people are brand new, but not as many as previous years, I think. But I guess that makes sense. You sort of see it, the percentages are going to shrink as you have more things to put the percentages into. How old are you? Always a very interesting question. And if we look years over years over years, it gets pretty clear a trend. And I think that we had how old, but we changed the numbers a little bit, which is too bad. So this is really this is hard to make that change applicable, but going from 2014 here to 2015 to 2016 to 2017, you see people are getting older. We have now 23 to 30 as our oldest group of folks. It makes sense that some people would drop out as that transition happens, just because people are watching less or have less time to answer a survey. I don't think that it's watching less, actually. Our audience is roughly the same size as it was last year and the year before that. Certainly not 2014 size, but roughly the same size. But yeah, you do see people getting older. And it doesn't necessarily look like 1 year per year. It looks like maybe people are getting older at more than 1 year per year, which just means that the new people we're attracting maybe are a little older as well. I guess that also makes a certain amount of sense when there's less pulling maybe from The Fault in Our Stars movie and Paper Towns movie. Moving on down, rank your internet places by the order in which you enjoy them. And I intended to have this be sorted, and I thought I did that, but I guess I didn't. Sorry, I apologize. I thought that I did that. And I don't know if I'm going to ask this question next year. It's not that, we haven't found it to be that interesting. We've asked it for 3 years in a row. And it's, interestingly, you'll see everything bumped up a lot between this year and last year, and that's because we added Musical.ly. And of course, this is a ranking, so if you have something that you're putting at 0, like if you never watch Twitch, but you also never use Pinterest, then you're putting 1 at 0 and 1 at 1, and it's arbitrary. So it's not great, but it does give us a kind of idea. It's not great at actually telling us exact information. You as a reporter can't report correctly. But it does give us an idea of how things might be changing. For example, here in 2014, 2015, I'm not going to look. We had, and over here, I didn't open this one. That we will use later, and I'll tell you about it then, when that happens. You see that Tumblr was second to YouTube among our audience. Then Tumblr shifted to being fourth, and Tumblr is now number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th after Snapchat. And Snapchat has, moved its way up. Twitter has also jumped dramatically in the last year. So, this is interesting data. Twitter now is second to Instagram, which and Facebook is now underneath Twitter for our audience. having gone from number 2 to number 4. Of course, Instagram is also owned by Facebook, but you know what I mean. But when you see all of them jumping up substantially, it's because there was another rank down below where people were putting Musical.ly last, which probably I just should not have included because it messes up the data, and people probably don't use Musical.ly that much. We didn't really have this question in 2000. What was this? Is this 14? Yeah, we didn't really have that question in 2014, so can't really look at it. Mostly age is the only thing that we can look at that deeply. Yeah, you definitely people are enjoying Instagram a lot more than they are enjoying Facebook and Snapchat and Tumblr nowadays. And then the next question is, how much time do you spend on them? And Facebook is still holding on to number 2 here for our audience. And again, I want to be clear that this is our audience. So Facebook has been sitting pretty at number 2 for the whole time. Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and then now Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then Snapchat, then Tumblr. So people are spending a lot of time on Instagram, but they spend more time on Facebook, but they do not enjoy it as much. In fact, Facebook is taking a backseat even to Twitter, which to me is a less enjoyable experience. I don't know. I do it all the time, so I can't dislike it that much. I find it to be much more, it suits my brain problems more. We're not going to necessarily look too much. Maybe we can just go between these last years. So this is all the time and this is never. So people are all the time using YouTube and never not using YouTube. And you see like never going up for Twitter, which is interesting. You see all the time going down for Tumblr and never going up, even over the last year. So Tumblr is still taking a bit of a dive. And if we do this, we can see that has been a overall trend of it shrinking and of Twitter getting bigger. So Twitter is definitely doing some substantial comeback. Let's scroll down to Facebook here and all of these so that we can continue to compare between these. So Facebook looks like it shrank a little bit, but like not substantially. And I have taken Vine off of the list, and so now nothing will work. So now it completely is broken. Of our audience, Musical.ly users, there are 35 who use it daily. So I think that we can safely say that Musical.ly is not for our audience. Where do you spend most of your time while on the internet? So you can look at this and be like, okay, I see. And this is going to take but like there's, my computer's having a hard time dealing with all of this data. But 46,000 people answered this, and you can do text analysis with SurveyMonkey, but not more than 5,000 text responses at a time. So the reason why I have this tab over here is because this is the users who answered answered a specific answer to one question, which lets me get a pretty accurate, did I just crash my browser? A pretty accurate look at just 5,000 people. And those 5,000 people are about 4,000 people actually who said that they prefer pretzel M&Ms. And that breaks down to about roughly even demographically, but it gets a smaller data set so I can do those. Oh no. No. It took me so long to set this up and you're gonna crash? Okay, you guys. Well, I'll be back in a little bit. And we're back. Okay, I loaded this whole page up again. SurveyMonkey does go a little bit of at the snail's pace when you're just loading the page, but we're back. And you can see now that we can say, okay, where do you spend? And we can actually do text analysis on this because there are less than 5,000 people, because there's only 4,000 people who answered the survey who said that pretzel M&Ms were their favorite M&Ms, probably also their favorite pretzels. And now we can look and see where they spend most of their time. So list most of the time on Facebook. It's interesting that you say this, because up here, how much time do you spend on them? YouTube is number 1, but YouTube does not appear on this list at all? I guess. I don't know. That is interesting to me. So Facebook coming in number 1, Reddit coming in number 2, Twitter, Tumblr, Netflix, Instagram, Google, Snapchat. I guess maybe when you ask where do you spend most of your time on the internet, people don't think that YouTube counts as an internet. And then if we go to the responses here, we'll also see YouTube is on here though. So why didn't YouTube show up in this thing? YouTube. If I search for YouTube, where does it show up? Here it is. That was 1,887. So I don't know, man. It's not showing up on this, but it's wrong. I follow Hank on mostly YouTube. I think that we can ditch this question in the future. I follow John on roughly the same platforms. Left or right-handed? 85.95 people are right-handed. That bears out roughly with the population. So I could say, what percentage of people are right-handed? And we'll see what it says. It says, well, that can't be right. 10% of people are left-handed, which bears out pretty accurately. And 3.52%. I actually didn't put ambidextrous on originally because I was like, that's not really a thing, is it? But apparently it is. People really are ambidextrous. And I'm just like, I can't understand what that would be like. My left hand is completely useless. What would you like to see more of on Vlogbrothers? And then we added a question, what kind of videos do you like most on Vlogbrothers? So that's 2 different kinds of questions. And people had criticized me in the past for assuming that this meant what they liked on Vlogbrothers. So we can sort this by descending and see. People like those explanations of complicated things. Oh, but guys, they're so hard and also troublesome, and it's easy to get them wrong. Thought silly videos, collaborations, videos, advice, videos about John and Hank's daily life. What do you like the most? This is probably going to be pretty similar. Oh my goodness. Wow, with that thing disappearing. About the same, but a little more mild, less dedication. So we had like 74%. It's like the same percentages, but it's the same ranking, but different percentages, which is interesting. Do you listen to podcasts frequent? Well, actually, let's compare this with last year because we did have that question. And just go clicky to see. Well, that's not helpful at all. Sort descending. It's about the same, honestly. Oh, Thoughts from Places. No, Thoughts from Places took a big hit, actually. I mean, not a big hit, a little hit. It's all pretty close in here. Silly videos went down. Thoughts from Places went up. Videos about John and Hank's daily life went down. I guess that's not super surprising. But not a trend that I'm necessarily going to put a ton of stake in. Or stock in, or whatever that phrase is. Do you listen to podcasts? Frequently, occasionally, never. So there are 8,000 or 9,000 people who answer this who never listen to podcasts, which is far below the national average, that's for sure. So you guys are pretty podcasty. You're pretty podcasty people. Are you a YouTube Red subscriber? Yes. This is also way above the average level, which probably is part of why we do so well on YouTube Red. About 10% of our revenue is coming from YouTube Red these days. So thank you so much for all the people who are YouTube revenue who have signed up for that. Best M&M. If we go to the peanut one, or the pretzel page, you'll notice that it's all pretzel. But let's rank this by descending and see that peanut is number 1, and that's all that matters about that question. Click on any that you have attended. None. Nope. 81% of people haven't been able to go to any of these things. Not to say that they don't want to. More people have been to a Hank Green the Perfect Stranger show than VidCon, though I guess those did go all around the place. And turtle stops are the biggest. So that's probably partially because it was recent, and also partially because we went to a lot of places and we saw a lot of people. Now, there's also a bunch of comments on here, so I don't know what that is going to be. Was there an other category? I don't know. A Hank Green serendipitously meeting John at Target in Minneapolis. Hi show. Project for Awesome live stream. Let's do a text analysis on this and list view. John Hank book, LeakyCon, Paper Towns, book signing, Tifios tour. Okay, I see. I know what's up. Do you plan on attending VidCon Europe? 624 people. VidCon Australia, 763 people. VidCon Anaheim, 1,000 people. PodCon, 800 people. I hope that I will see you all there, and more people will consider to come to those things, even though I know that most of you can't because it's far away from where you live. 624 people want to come to VidCon Europe. I suggest that you look into buying your tickets because we have not. I think we haven't even sold that many tickets. So please come. Regarding VidCon, I hope to go someday. I have been, but don't plan to go again. 800 something people. I have been and plan to go again. 686 people. VidCon is very different now, and I understand people who. We still do lots of Nerdfighter focused things, and I think the VidCon is extremely fun. It's just like it definitely feels like there's a segment of VidCon that is a smaller segment that is specifically interesting to people who are like me, and then a bigger thing that makes me feel like, oh, should I be here? But yes, I should, because there's other pieces that are definitely for me. When considering whether to go to an event, what are you looking for? Affordability. We can do this sort descending and be like, affordability is a big one, I believe. Not important to very important. Yeah. Affordability. I feel like it's for me. It's got a great lineup. It's nearby. Have the free time. Heard good things from people I trust. It's in a cool place. Cool place is way down there. But honestly, all these things are clumping pretty close together. So all those things are important. The majority of our audience has not seen a single Fast and the Furious movie, which guys, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I do enjoy it greatly myself. I apologize. I thought that I got all these sorting by descending, but vast majority of people get news from the videos, but also from Twitter, also the newsletter. Thank you to those people who are signed up and reading the newsletter. That's very much appreciated. Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr is down there. Friends, the subreddit is a great, really cool place. I like the Nerdfighter subreddit a lot. Friends, Snapchat. You're not getting a lot of news from Snapchat these days, I'll tell you that. I think college education is extremely valuable. Let's look at, and this is just a thing that I'm trying to track. I understand that this is a bad question. Like, it would not pass muster for peer review or anything, but I'm seeing not a ton of change. It almost is, I bet that's all within the statistical significance, which makes me think I should ditch that question. So I'm probably going to ditch that question next year. But I do appreciate that most people think that college is worth it. And this is mostly, I just like this because I can see how many people are from Belgium or Belize or Bhutan. One fan in Bhutan. That's great. Armenia, Argentina. There's just a lot of cool places where people are from. And also, I like to be able to... that's going to take a while. I like to be able to see, it's really interesting. 60,000 people ish answered the survey, and 30,000 are from the United States. And then it's so weird how long this tail is that there's 3% or 7%, 3%, 3%, but you get to 1%, and there's still a lot of percent left that is all made up by these places where there's 1 to 100 nerd fighters in those places. So it's really stretched out. We got there's one survey respondent in a lot of places, you guys. Togo, that's amazing. Cape Verde, Georgia, the country, not the state. Again, this breaks down almost entirely by population of the state, so it's pretty per capita. Gender, still, interestingly, when we look at our YouTube demographics, it's pretty evenly split male to female, and then this is obviously weighted more toward people who are willing to lend us their time and answer a survey. So thank you to all of those people, and it seems to be a tendency toward female people who will do that. And I think that I'm not sure, because we've changed how we do gender year to year. Also, I had questioning and gender fluid on here twice, and so that's going to mess it up. But yeah. There's definitely an increase in in non-binary viewership, which is, well, we didn't even have non-binary on last year. So basically, we can't compare it all. I apologize. Race or ethnicity, check all that apply. We see again, as always, that Nerdfighteria is not an extremely diverse place. So 86 are non-white Hispanic people, 86%. I don't feel like it's an antagonistic place, and I also have spent time trying to, consider that. But, when I've talked to people about community organizing, there is usually an element of race to communities and shared experience. And so this does tend to happen. I just think that it's almost, to me, important that we as a community are trying to interface with other communities that have racial diversity. And I think that we do that, and I am always on the lookout for creators that can help us do that. But I've asked some questions down here on this survey as well that sort of maybe help get to the root of that shared experience. Something that I would like, but like also something that I understand. When people are looking for their media, they're looking for media from voices that they connect with and that have shared experience with them. Hogwarts House is the first time we ever asked this question. We got not majority, but 36% Ravenclaw, which is kind of a surprise. I don't know. I guess I am surprised by this, my friends. Mostly that there is that significant, like that there are more than twice as many Ravenclaws as Gryffindors. I don't know. And there's almost as many Slytherins as Ravenclaws. So, it's a long story, this person said in response to whatever they picked. It's a long story. maybe they didn't pick anything and they just said it's a long story. Griffin, Puff, Huffleclaw, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Ravenpuff, Slitherclaw. People are talking about their joint houses. How well informed do you feel? Global warming topping out at the top here, and YouTube demonetization at the bottom, which I think is probably a pretty good sign. Be worried if YouTube demonetization beat out any of these issues. And that was kind of what I was curious about. I was like, are people going to know more about YouTube demonetization than they know about like mass incarceration? But it turns out people feel uninformed about demonetization, which is grand. Yeah. So that's this. I think that works. And is interesting. Do you feel like you're part of a community on or offline? Always, sometimes, rarely. I always worry about the rarely and nevers, and I hope that they find some good community on the internet, and in our community, or can, maybe like that's a pretty substantial percentage, and so maybe there's a way to reach those people and connect them. Who did you vote for? Here's some unsurprising data for you. Well, I don't live in the U.S. It's 34 people, 34%. So that makes sense as to data we've seen earlier in the survey. Excitedly for Hillary Clinton, begrudgingly for Hillary Clinton, being most of the people. There was also a too young to vote. There's a bunch of others. I don't know if that's... Oh, yeah, we can do text analysis on others. Do a list view here and see where Jill Stein lands. Too young to vote. I put that as a thing. You guys. Gary Johnson, not a citizen. That's important. Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein, Trump, something. Register, absentee ballot, able to vote. So yeah. Let's see. How many people voted for Donald Trump in our community? Why? Oh, because that's under other. Like it's below other. Some other person. 3% of people. I don't know how I feel about that, you guys. Begrudging for Donald Trump. 150 people who answered this survey said that they've excitedly voted for Donald Trump. I'm fascinated by this. How do you feel about these statements? It looks like people are saying that homosexuality is natural and normal, and this is agreement and this is disagreement. It looks backwards. So we've got... I've ranked these by how much people agree versus like people strongly disagree more with these. But I think that it's interesting how much diversity there is in these answers, that there are, that not in these questions like homosexuality is natural and normal. There is a certain number of people who disagreed with that statement, and they are there and they do exist, and they are answering the survey. But you see more that the disagrees show up in more surprising quantities for me, where people don't think that sexism and racism are still huge problems in the country. 1,600 people, or there's definitely some diversity here in I can't understand people who voted for Trump. So there are people who disagree with that statement and say, yeah, I get it. I understand it. I very rarely take risks. On the whole, you can trust the government. I think that people need thicker skin, and to stop whining so much is a really interesting sort of split where people are like, yeah, kinda. I'm not. The world has become too politically correct. That there's a lot of people who agree with that statement in this community. On the whole, you can trust the church. A lot of people who agree with that. Hard sciences are more valuable to society than social sciences. I think that's a toughie. Yeah, it's a toughie. I mean, I don't, not a great thing to ask people. People who think that white people are frequently discriminated against, and like, this is a subjective statement. It's written subjectively. Like, what does frequently mean? And like, yes, things happen. It is not a judgment. It's not saying like, I think that they are more discriminated against than other groups or whatever. But yeah, you do see a diversity in these opinions, but you do also see like this strong disagreement with that statement. That is a pretty subjective statement that sometimes makes me feel like, yeah, like could we, I don't know. I disagree with that statement too, but like, I don't know that it necessarily makes sense to have it be uber last on the list. I also think about this list that it would be very interesting to sort of compare different pieces of it. It's hard to, like, SurveyMonkey allows you to do that. And if I spent a bunch of time doing it, I could. And also like how that breaks down other questions on the list. Like if you look at on the people who say that you can't trust the government at all, how does that change between the overall population? It's just not something that I have been able to do. Do you feel like you belong in Nerdfighteria? Sorta, yeah. We can look at the responses here because it can be hard to make that make sense. I don't really know what this is. I don't know what this is. I haven't been online in the past year so much. Fun topics, yes. Politically, socially, no. It leans hard left. I mean, yeah, I think we do lean hard left. I don't really try to fit in. I watch the YouTubes and listen to the pod. Not anymore. That's all I got from that person. I don't know. Do I? I watch every video, have gone to and intend to go to more Perfect Strangers concerts. I hope you can. Own Wizard School and other paraphernalia. My high school yearbook quote is DFTBA, yet I do not comment on videos nor am I part of any community online where I may interact with other fans. I'm a fan of the Brothers Green. I've been subscribed since mid-08. Huge inactive fan. Well, hello and thank you. I used to, but when I got a non-nerd fighter partner and a small human to look after, I always felt left behind. Aw. I am not fully aware of what it is, hopefully. I used to, but I'm happy to just be a casual fan now. It is weird. Like, it's so subjective. It's so self-assigned that, there isn't a lot that you can definitely say, except that, like, overall perspectives change. And probably I should look at what other people said in other years. These 2 years, that's it. So, not really has actually gone down, and yes and sorta have gone up, and no has also gone down, which is interestingly. That's interestingly. That is not what I would have expected, and it is great. Pineapple on pizza. Yes outweighs the no's, but there is a strong dichotomy here. The no opinions are surprisingly small. I think no opinion. Well, I guess it's hard to have a no opinion. If this was like, this isn't about whether you think there should be. It's whether you like it, I guess, if you just say pineapple on pizza. Have you ever considered running for public office? Yes. 25% of people have, which is really cool. This person holds a public office currently. That's neat. It's so gross, but maybe. Not seriously, but I was told I could. Held to the nah. Maybe one day. Only in theory. I ran for student body president once. If being elected to the president of the physics club at my university counts, I don't think that's technically a public office. Maybe one day in the far future when I'm not 18. Dual citizen. Can't do it. That is true in some places. I don't know if it's true in the US, though. I mean, I'm a teacher and would jokingly like to help those in the Department of Ed. So, yes, kinda. When I'm older and not 23 in my first year of teaching? Yeah, totally. Yeah. Take some time. Not super seriously, not seriously. That's pretty cool, though, that so many people have considered it. I think that's pretty great. Are you aware of these things? One, I don't know why it's so squished down, but one is 100%. So pretty much 100% of people are aware of Turtles All the Way Down and VidCon and YouTube Red, and then we get a little less than that. It's probably better to look at here. DFTBA.com, 95%. Project for Awesome, 95%. Patreon, 94%. My upcoming book, 82%. So hello to 18% of you. I have a book coming out. VidCon Europe, down here at less than 80%, as well as Australia. As 2D Glasses is surprisingly high penetration. NerdCon, Hankering the Perfect Strangers, my band. And then we have Nerdfighteria, our Minecraft server, which that does pretty well. Complexly, our company, which runs all of the other YouTube channels. And Rolf, our party game, does not have the market penetration yet. But we'll see we'll see. How did you first hear about Vlogbrothers? Just came across it. A friend. John's Books. Don't remember. Somewhere else on YouTube. Crash Course. Family member. Charlie McDonald. This is the one person that we call out individually. And we can do text analysis on this. So if we go to list view, video, YouTube, Deathly Hallows, Crash Course, John's Books, 5 Awesome Girls. Yeah. Let's see. Local TV news broadcast, and they were talking about Brotherhood 2.0 back in 2008 through a friend who wanted to, through a friend. But in 2007, Philip DeFranco, 6 years ago, stumbled across, was a watcher of Brotherhood 2.0. Alex Day, though he has since been canceled. When John judged 5 Awesome Girls rap battle. Librarian, but she was also a friend. Sarah Dessen's blog, Wheezy Waiter. Becoming YouTube. Oh, cool. I think Phil DeFranco had a show where he highlighted shows on YouTube. Spouse, Maureen Johnson. Song Fu. Wow. Song Fu. That brings back memories. CGP Grey complaining about pennies, and John's video was related. Libba Bray and Maureen Johnson's blogs. Recently, John was very sick and missed a video. Do you think he should be punished? No, was overwhelmingly. That's very nice of you all. Click of the answer is yes. Have you ever read a John Green book? I'm going to just go down here. Read a John Green book, 84%. Suggested a Vlogbrothers video to someone. Suggested, this is great. Wonderful. Thank you for doing that. Listen to Dear Hank and John. Thank you for doing that. Thank you to everybody who suggests Dear Hank and John to people. But thank you so much for suggesting videos to people. That is really, obviously, a huge help for us. Refer to yourself as a nerd fighter. Suggested some Hank and John videos to someone. And then down here, sorry. Attended an AFC Wimbledon match, 80.84%. But that's a lot of people, 429 people. Made a Project for Awesome video, 1,000 people. Made Nerdfighter art, 3,000 people. Gone to a Nerdfighter gathering, 5 for 6,000 people. Worn a Pizza John shirt, 6 or 7,000 people. Lent money on Kiva.org, even more than that. Donated to Patreon, even more than that. This is great. Bought a Hank Green song or album. Thank you, all you people. I love it. Who the F is Hank? We're going to have to go over here to see who the F, to see the text analysis with pretzel people. Yarn Lives Fish, beautiful brother. Nerd F lives, think, nerd, beautiful. I don't know. Joke, creature, answer, mammal, father, gas, amazing. Okay, I'm an amazing gas father. We've finished it. We've got it all locked in now. What kind of merchandise are you into these days? T-shirts, still a winner. Socks, doing very well. Pullover hoodies, zip hoodies, enamel pins, posters, long sleeve shirts, leggings, ladies cut, crew neck. Cool. Crew neck t-shirts, crew neck sweatshirts. Not probably not going to hit those harder anymore. We're probably done with those. It's low down on the list. Can't do text analysis on this. So let's go over here and do it on this. badges, stickers, tea, and calendars. I don't really care for merch. Text analysis, list view. Stickers, mugs, patches, beanies, merch. Merch? Shirts, stuff, tank tops, pop sockets. How many pop sockets do you need? DFTBA.com experience. I'll go through this with the DFTBA.com team, but this is a small percentage that we would like it to be smaller, but that's nice to see that the bad experience is less than about a 0.5%. But we'll go through. I think that there's probably notes in comments about that, like what. Oftentimes sometimes we'll send the wrong size of a shirt. Sometimes people won't want the shirt. I received the wrong shirt, but customer service was great and corrected it. See, that's good. We are trying to, that's the thing that happens with everything, but we're trying to get better systems. Because now, especially now that we have so much stuff in the warehouse, it can be harder to pick and pack. How aware are you of these things? Weighted average, sort descending. Crash course and SciShow, very aware. I think that 3 is the top. So Crash Course is extremely. SciShow, less so. Dear Hank and John, also extremely. But a surprising number of people know about Hank's channel, which I sort of feel like is super indie and underground. But I'm glad that you guys know about it. But I guess this is like hardcore Nerdfighters right here. And also people who are really excited to see this video. The census analysis on Hank's channel. Mental Floss, SciShow Psych, SciShow Space, down lower. Maybe I should tell people more about SciShow Psych and SciShow Space. I don't know. I feel like I've mentioned it a couple of times on Vlogbrothers. 100 Days, How to Adult, Art Assignment, down here at the bottom, holy frickin' science. Very bad market penetration, holy HFS. Maybe it's because I have such a hard time saying the title out loud because I don't want to curse. So maybe we should look into fixing that. Animal Wonders, also a great, really cool show that you should watch with my friend Jesse. Financial Diet is very successful, but mostly outside of Nerdfighteria. And we're going to see what crash courses do you guys want. More history is number 1 and also substantially standing out from the pack, which is really interesting to me. History of science. I've got great news for all of you people who want history of science. I'm working on it right now, and it's really good. And I'm learning a ton about history and science and the history of science, and I'm really excited about it. We've written the first episode and a half right now, but we're going to start shooting in about 3 weeks, I think. So it's happening. Religion is next on that list. That's something that we want to do. I mean, we're kind of doing it with mythology, and it's going well. And I think that, considering it is religion in a lot of ways, we're not treating it as a religious studies course really, but it's obviously mythology is religion. And I think we're doing it really well, and it is very popular. So it's interesting to see that so close to the top. Music, history, and theory, also sort of right there with history and science and religion. Theater, art history, more philosophy, all these things are really quite up there. And then there's a little bit of a drop for math, engineering, statistics, and more biology. But it seems like there's appetite for all of these things. Though, more history is about twice as much as more biology. So, okay, you guys. Okay, whatever. What fictional character would you vote for to be president? Hermione Granger wins by a landslide, everyone. And I guess I can understand and actually worry a little bit about everyone who chose someone else. Your first language, we've got a Mandarin slice here, Spanish slice here, Portuguese, French, German is surprisingly big, Dutch, other is the biggest slice of all the slices. So there's just a lot of people who speak Persian and Japanese and Punjabi and Hausa, and I pulled this list off of the Wikipedia page for the most commonly spoken languages. So if I said something wrong, talk to Wikipedia about it. Similarly, if I had people who were upset about the categories that I chose for ethnicity, and I pulled that off of the U.S. Census form because I was like, I don't know. I'm going to trust the United States government on this one. What other YouTubers do you like to watch? I don't know if this is a particularly useful thing, but I've done it, and so I keep doing it. What I really like about this is, so first of all, we see that it's a lot of educational stuff. It's also a lot of, here at the top, TED, but to some extent BuzzFeed as well. Like those are things that are kind of watched without feeling a tremendous sense of investment in those things, but you sort of come across and watch these videos and you enjoy them. And then there are also things that are, for me, are more sort of community based, like Rhett and Link, Hannah Hart, Dan and Phil, and to some extent some of these educational stuff. But it's really interesting to see that a big hunk of this top list is educational content. And then there's a lot of YouTubers that I watch on this list that are pretty far down the list in terms of people's watching habits. And then I keep Ricegum on the list just because it's fascinating to me that there's 500 people who watch Ricegum. Now, there are also 28,000 comments on this, which I love. And if we go to YouTubers, we can see what, since we can't look at the text results there, we can do a text analysis on this. And I'm pretty sure that Phil was in this. I'm pretty sure that I included Phil. Who knows? And we do a list view. We could see Gray, who's on that list, Jenna Marbles, Rhett and Link, Hannah Hart. All these people are on the list. Phil DeFranco, Dan Howell, Game Grumps, I don't think was on the list. Jax Films is. Dodie and Grace are. So maybe this isn't the most useful thing. Oh no, this is your absolute favorite YouTuber. Never mind. Now I have to click on that thing. This is what I wanted to click on. Okay. Erase everything I just said. So text analysis on the others. Now you've got, this makes much more sense. Binging with Babish, Safia Nygaard, Simply Nailogical, Thomas Sanders, all people I should have had in the list and didn't have in the list. Sugar Pine 7, I don't know what that is. Cinemasins, Julian Solomita, Lindsay Ellis, who I love. Channel, that's just Lucy Moon, Hazel Hayes, Ask a Mortician, Simone Gertz, You Suck at Cooking, Philip DeFranco, again, maybe I had it wrong. Oh, anyway. Olin Rogers, Window Over Productions, Casually Explained, Every Frame of Painting, Overly Sarcastic Productions, Physics Girl, Rosianna, Brain Scoop, Lindsay Sterling. I don't know what, probably Slow Mo Guys is what that is. And Team Starkid, and I don't know what those three things are. But yeah, so this is where the pretzel comes in handy, is being able to look at these things. So yeah, Safia Nygaard and Thomas Sanders, those people I should have had on the list, but I just didn't put them in the list. And we've also got Funhouse Games and Loading Ready Run. So there's tons. It's just my favorite thing, The Valley Folk, a show that doesn't exist yet. My favorite thing about this question is you can go in here and just suddenly I am looking at a huge list of YouTubers that I may have never heard of or that I haven't given adequate attention to. And so I really appreciate. I just watched the animatics of McElroy Productions these days. Those are very good videos. I myself watch them as well. Okay, and then we have this next thing, which is, what is your absolute favorite YouTuber who is not us? And this is also very interesting because you can do text analysis. And now we're looking at what people like their favorite YouTubers. So interestingly, I am surprised that Jenna Marbles is number 2 on this list. I'll just be honest about it. And I don't think that that's a pretzel M&M artifact. I think that that's a reality. I love Jenna. I'm a huge fan of her as a person and a creator. So this is great. But just it surprises me. Now, if you add up Phil and Philip DeFranco, you're going to get to number 2 here on this list. So that is important to recognize. And you've got... you got Rhett and Link, you got Hannah Hart, you got Dan Howell, Game Grumps, Jax Films, Grace Helbig, Dodie Clark. These are people that we are friends with for the most part. That I've never met some of these people. I've never some of them I've had long conversations with and slept at their houses, and some of them I've only chatted with briefly at VidCon. But yeah, these are also some of my very favorite YouTubers. So we have similar tastes. Lindsay Ellis made the list, and I assume that that's Thomas Sanders. And Vox is doing really great stuff these days. I love their content. They are just hitting it out of the park. So that's great. What is your favorite podcast? We're going to have to stay over here for a little bit on the, We're going to have to stay. Sorry, I got distracted by something. We're going to have to stay over here for a little bit on the pretzel screen for the pretzel people to do this. So text analysis. We've got Pod Save America, Hello Internet, Night Vale, Adventure Zone, My Brother, and Me, My Brother, Me Again, which probably will add up to put that higher on the list. Not Too Deep with Grace Helbig. Probably Hardcore History is what that is. Pod Save America, 99% Invisible, This American Life. How Stuff Works, probably is what that is. My Favorite Murder, Radiolab, NPR, Serial, Ear Biscuits, Lore, Friends. I don't know what that is. But yeah, when we're planning PodCon this year, I 100% plan on going through all of these and seeing if we will invite some of these people, and some of them will say yes and some of them will say no, I'm sure. I didn't know David Dobrik had a podcast. I'm fascinated to listen to it for the first time tonight. Star Talk Radio, Call Your Girlfriend. Harry Potter and the Sacred Text is so good. We had them last time. Not really a podcast person. All right, your absolute favorite band text analysis. The Beatles, the Smiths, the Mountain Goats, Tool. You guys... I mean, I guess my favorite bands are also not from the last 10 years, but come on. Panic at the Disco, number 1. I don't know what this is, but it's a band. Fall Out Boy is my guess. I don't know why Fall Out didn't get in. Beatles, coming in at number 4, holding on strong. But there's a lot of diversity in this because there's 3,000 responses and like you've only got like the first thing is 3.29%. Mountain Goats, Imagine Dragons, 21 Pilots, Bastille, Queen, Paramore, Green Day, Mumford & Sons, Coldplay, Taylor Swift, The Killers, The Lumineers, Pentatonics, Ed Sheeran, Florence and the Machine. What's your favorite book? Percy Jackson, Catcher in the Rye, Harry Potter, Pride and Prejudice, Kill a Mockingbird, The Name of the Wind, The Martian, Ender's Game. So there are some books from relatively recent time. I mean, I feel like Harry Potter isn't that recent anymore. Of these, probably The Martian is the most recent book by a margin, except for The Name of the Wind, which is about, it's about exactly 10 years old because the 10th anniversary edition just came out. On YouTube, I watch a lot of, let's go back to everybody's data. I have to go, everyone. So I'm going to stop this recording here, and then I'm going to pick it back up. I apologize that I have to split this up, but who has 2 hours free ever anymore? Okay, I'll be back soon. And we're back. Hello. It's at least a day later. I don't know how long it's been. We were just looking at favorite books of Nerdfighteria, and on our text analysis over here, we were able to see that, first of all, the most important thing to see with all of these things is that there is not a lot of concentration. Though, 12% of people going to Harry Potter is pretty good. And then, like, the next thing down being Pride and Prejudice at 2%. Still a lot of concentration there, but in general, more concentrated than bands, significantly more concentrated than YouTubers. So YouTubers being the least concentrated of all of them, and then... But also very interesting. And I also think it's very interesting to compare people's favorites to the people who get viewed. So, like, right up here at the top, you have Ted, but Ted doesn't show up at all in people's favorites. But it is worth noting that Vsauce does show up both in people's favorites and very close to the top, as does CGP Grey. Whereas Jenna Marbles, let's look and see where Jenna is on this list. I could do a search, but I'm worried about what that will do to us. Is, in the middle of the pack. Oh yeah, pretty close to the top, but still. Which is great to see, because I think that Jenna's doing really interesting things, and I like that there's good crossover between Jenna and my audience, and maybe I should go on their podcast if they'll let me. All right, now, let's take the time to go back to the full survey with all 50,000 respondents. On YouTube, I watch a lot of Let's Rank It by Descending. Educational content. Not surprising. Music, everybody watches music. Funny vlogs, sketch comedy, gaming videos, daily vloggers, web series, talk shows. Beauty channels, television, cats, my friends. It's kind of like I feel like this my friends bit has gone down consistently over the years. is not too much of a surprise, but it's just, people sort of like the average creator who just is doing it to sort of interact with a very small community. There's less of that, certainly in terms of percentage. And then we can check out our comments here. I can't look at this on the full version, so I have to go to my pretzel M&Ms people and see that people, what are they saying in the text analysis? Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Movies, yeah, totally. I kind of put that in with educational, honestly. Videos being number 2, that's great. So movies, yeah, like things like Every Frame a Painting or, Cinema Sins to some extent. But there's a lot of sort of like media commentary on YouTube that I sort of lump in with education. Like Nerdwriter to me is an educational channel. And Lindsay Ellis is an educational channel. So we've also got BookTube, which is great. 6% of these pretzel people like BookTube. Cooking videos, news. I don't know why I didn't put news in there. Like these maybe is like a thing that's been sitting around in the survey for a while. And things like news, cooking, animation channels weren't as big of a deal back in the day. So maybe I should update that, and maybe I should see if I've got that. And my friends has actually stayed really consistent. Funny vlogs dropped down and was replaced by music as a number 1. This is, what is this? 78%, and this is 81%. I mean, but it looks like everything dropped, which is weird. So everything dropped. Why would everything drop? If people are choosing less variety is why everything would drop. So in this one, people are picking more than one thing more often. And in this one, people are picking fewer categories. I think that must be how that happened. And that is consistent. Like everything except for education, which increased that second year, everything is dropping down. So people are watching less variety of YouTube on average. They're getting more specific. They're more interested in one thing than another thing. Wow, that's really interesting, actually. And that's pretty, like, it looks like a pretty substantial change to me over those years. I mean, this is a piece of data that I would not have expected to see. And that educational stuff is really separating itself from the pack. I mean, there's so many great educational channels on YouTube right now, and I watch a lot of that stuff too. So, yeah. Talk shows stayed the same. I'm trying to look at each individual thing. Beauty went down. Television. What did television do? Television maybe went up. We got 13% and we got 13%, so it just stayed the same. And other things went down. Doot. Daily vloggers went from 30 to 30% from 37%. That's not a huge surprise to me either. Okay, we're going to move on from this, but that's really interesting. Also, maybe people are watching less of these things because they're watching more cooking channels and news, which are things that weren't on YouTube as much back in 2005 or 2016. 2005, 2015, or 2016. How do you hear about new YouTube videos? This is a thing that we've had in the survey for a while too, so let's set this up. That's fair. This is going to be fascinating to me. Okay, I go to youtube.com/subscriptions, being the top one, and like, I tell you what, not most creators do not have this as being their number one. I can guarantee I've seen their analytics, and most of their viewership does not come from subscriptions. So thank you very much for going for going to your subscriptions and watching my videos. Okay, and that went up and then down. So this year it went down to 65% from 68% was our peak. And, you know, it's more like what it was first year of the survey. I go to youtube.com, just youtube.com. I regularly visit the pages of my favorite creators, Tumblr. I just go to the channel, Facebook, friends, Twitter, app on my phone. YouTube sends me emails. YouTube sends me emails. Where did that? Oh, wow, that went way up. Way up between those 2 years. YouTube sends me an email from 10% to 20% almost. And then now it's up to 21%. So that is a very important thing, when YouTube decides what YouTube decides to put in that email, which is not something I ever hear YouTube creators talking about. An app on my phone, I imagine, is lower than it is now. Now it is 24%. And an app on my phone is an interesting one because that can be youtube.com, like your feed, or it can be subscriptions. So I don't know. I probably should have separated those out, but I didn't. So what else? What else can we identify here? Any interesting shifts? I mean, obviously Tumblr is last on the list now. Twitter's gone up. Twitter's gone up from last year from 17% to 18%, so not huge. But I regularly visit the pages of my favorite creators, about the same. And I go to youtube.com has gone up while subscriptions has gone down. And the reasons why, like, honestly, the reason why we like people to go to subscriptions is because you definitely get the thing that you're looking for, which is why I suggest to people, like, to be pretty ruthless with your subscriptions. This is not something that YouTube would ever tell its users because creators would revolt. But if YouTube was like, hey, you haven't watched a video from this creator in the last 6 months, maybe you don't want to be subscribed to them anymore, that would tremendously, dramatically cut people's subscriptions. But in the end, in my belief, it would also increase the number of people using their subscriptions page because it's not cluttered full of stuff they're not that interested in anymore. So it's not going to happen. But I suggest to you to cultivate your subscriptions, to go in and take out the stuff that you don't watch a lot. And if that's Vlogbrothers, take out Vlogbrothers. Make sure, like, make your subscriptions page a page that you like to go to, because that is the page that shows you, theoretically, everything that you have chosen to see, whereas youtube.com shows you what YouTube wants to show you, which is going to be more influenced by what you watched in the last week, and also what other people are clicking on, and not necessarily what you would click on, and also what people are sharing, what people are excited about or talking about, etc. And it's not going to be curated really by you. You know, the only curated by you experience is youtube.com's subscriptions page. All right, that was very interesting too. We've also got comments on this one, but it's under 5,000, so we can look and see where else people are getting their feed. Text analysis. Recommended section. YouTube suggests me, but I hate it. I like to search it myself. Instagram, Reddit, YouTube suggestions, Facebook pages. Recommended feed. What's the recommended feed? I don't even know what that is. YouTube.com/TV. Instagram. Okay, so we're looking at a tiny fraction. So we're looking at 1,000 people of, oh man, I never think about Instagram. 1,000 people out of our, so we've got 200 people out of the 50,000 people who are saying Instagram. But still, 260 saying Reddit, some feed, app, videos, Snapchat, 100 people, subscriptions, recommended, suggested, email. What is YouTube? I don't even know what the recommended feed is or how you find it. What is it? Where is it? How do I find this page? Where does it come from? I mean, it's sure. Andrew Huang, I watch a lot. Holy Science, I watch that too. Bring It in 2018, I watch that. I watch a lot of Would I Lie to You? That's true. I'm into Mark Hamill, for sure. History of Philip DeFranco in 9 minutes. Yeah, I'd watch that. Yeah, sure. These are pretty good recommendations. I mean, these Wilties I probably am going to watch in a more structured way so that I don't just get them. Climate Change 101, Glaciers, National Geographic. Sure, I might watch that. Animal Wonders. Yeah, I like that show. Okay, but where did this come from? Where is recommended? Where is it? It's not in the sidebar. I'm so confused. Back to the survey. Notifications. I probably should put that on there. How much money do you make? I currently have no income. There's a lot of students in Nerdfighteria, you guys. Also, we're selecting for people who have enough time to fill out a very long survey. So maybe I should have a shorter survey in the future. And I'm not saying that people who currently have no income have a lot of free time. In fact, that is honestly sometimes the exact opposite of reality. $1 to $10,000 per year. Now, this is a really interesting thing because I also asked a separate question this year, which is very different. And we can also, I think we can compare this from previous years. I'm not sure how many times I've asked this question. Yeah, at least 3. Oh, wow, quite a number of times. So you guys, Nerdfighters are doing better. We got more cash coming in. Look at that middle pack swelling up. That's exciting. So congratulations to Nerdfighteria on your increase in income, which mostly has to do, I'm sure, let's just keep this going. I want to see this happen all throughout the years and just everybody's money just keep going up. Even that 150K bit is increasing. So yeah, this mostly has to do with people getting older, graduating, getting jobs. So it's not too much of a surprise, but I'm glad that people are doing well. And I'm glad that this piece is going up more than this piece. That 10K to 20K is, like there's different life stages where you might not be working full time and etc. But it's hard to make it work on that if you're trying to make it work on just that. So good, glad, but I also asked a separate question because I've always been interested about this like sort of large chunk of people who don't have money or aren't making money. Do you have money? Do you have some amount of wealth? So I feel like I'm going to try and just jump down there. Do you consider yourself wealthy? This is a super subjective question, but 51,000 people answered it, so thank you for all the people who didn't skip it. And fewer than 10% of Americans are wealthy. And this maybe category is interesting to me because I think that a lot of people could put themselves in that category if they're sort of aware of more aware. People who would not on sort of the global scale. If you just like sort of picked a random person who has, say $500,000 in wealth and you say, do you consider yourself wealthy? Most of those people would say no, because that's like your home and maybe a retirement account and some college savings for your kids. You wouldn't consider that wealthy. But maybe if you are more aware of sort of the scale of the amount of money that people, even just in America, have, you would say actually, yes, I own my home. I have retirement savings. I am wealthy. So this is very subjective, and I think that we would select for people who would be more likely to understand the impact of their own wealth. But it is interesting to see the sort of fairly large, significant portion of Nerdfighteria, or people who went to the survey anyway, who have enough money that they are either definitely wealthy or aren't, sort of consider themselves maybe wealthy. And I put in that maybe because it's a weird thing to feel. It's a weird thing to be like, yes, I am wealthy. Yes. We are weird about money, which is why I'm glad people didn't just skip that question. And then the last thing I'll say about that, what was it? Oh, that this does make sense to me because we are able to raise so much for the Project for Awesome that it feels like I want Nerdfighteria to know that just because you aren't giving, you aren't buying every single perk in the Project for Awesome doesn't mean like people who are doing that just have more ability to do that. And so if you are just getting one perk, if you're just getting a $5 perk, that's great. And you're probably giving a greater percentage of your wealth than the people who have more than you. 35% of people currently have no income, so that's probably a lot of college students, you guys, and maybe more other students as well. Click on the things that you have. I wanted to learn a little bit about Nerdfighteриa's finances, a little more than previous years. Now this is a little bit, it's hard. Probably the best thing to do would be to take out people who are currently in high school to look at this number. In fact, I could do that. It would be hard. It would take time. It would take some time. So here, let's do it. We're gonna do it. We gotta look at this number because it's not actually useful to have this number if we're looking at people who are still in high school, because of course you have no debt. You're a high school student. I mean, you might have some debt, but debt only really comes once you get to college. Let's edit the rule. Let's see people who have a college degree. Let's see how many of them have student loans. Now, of course, that's a higher percentage, 50%. So it's still substantially lower. I think that we can say fairly clearly that Nerdfighteria is has more than the average amount of affluence in it. And that isn't super surprising. So once you have become, done what I do for long enough, you realize that very small changes to your content can have very big impacts, especially at the size that we have been and are. And there are just so many different, audiences have fragmented because there's so much content that you can kind of pick exactly the thing that works best for you. And that's likely to be stuff that's being made by people who are more like you. And so since John and I didn't have student loans either. Obviously a lot of people did. Only 30% of people in Nerdfighteria don't have any debt. That's just a higher percentage than the average American. Something like 80% of Americans have debt. So, it's different. It's not substantially, broadly, hugely different. And also having a mortgage isn't bad debt. It's good debt to have. A car loan, a little less so. It would be really ideal, in my opinion, to be able to buy a car without sort of feeling this pressure of making the payment every month. But of course, lots of people have car loans, and it's better to have a car loan than to not have a car in most situations. Credit card debt that you don't pay off every month, that's a bad kind of debt. It's good to see that most people are avoiding that, but do your best to not have that kind of debt and also not expand that kind of debt. I don't feel like I'm giving a financial advice. This is not really what we're here for. I just mean to say that it is not surprising, though I hadn't really considered it, that we make content that is sort of perfectly tuned for people who are like us. And that is, and when I see other people who are making content and they they're in different situations, I'm like, your audience, even though I love this content and it's great, your audience is more like you. Nathan Zed, I feel makes content that works really well for me, but his audience is way more young and of color than our audience. And I think that his stuff hits nails that I don't even know it's hitting. It's hitting things right on the head when I don't even realize that nail is there. And I think that we, subconsciously do the same thing, that we are making content that is resonating with a certain type of people. And so what I think that is valuable is having crossover between those communities and having relationships with the people who are leading those communities. And I probably said that last time I was recording this, or some version of that. It's just something I've been thinking about a lot, especially I would not have ever imagined the percentage of Nerdfighteria that's white if I hadn't seen it in the census. So it's a good thing to have an opportunity to think a bunch about. And I'm glad that people don't have so much debt. It's great. I wish more people could live that life. How do you feel about opinions? I did this incorrectly, I believe. I asked people how they feel about opinions, and I think that a lot of people said, "Oh, I have strong opinions about things, but what I meant was a joke. Do you have strong opinions about opinions?" I think some people got that, but not everybody. So it was a joke anyway. So 21% of people are still in high school, which probably makes sense with regards to the age of the people in Nerdfighteria. We can go take a quick look at the age of our pretzel people, at least. 16 to 18, 23%. So those people, some of them are in college, some of them are not. And then you have these people who are another percentage. And then we've got a fair number of people with PhD, technical school, very small percentage of none of the aboves. So that would be, I guess, people who dropped out of high school. And then, or something else, who knows? College, university degree, etc. If you're in school, what kind of school are you in? So the biggest percentage is not in school, but not the biggest slice of, but not the majority. So we've got 34% who are not in school, 21% who are in for university, 17% are in a high school. I could have divided this by that, but I didn't know about this until I got here. 4-year college liberal arts, so much more people in university than in a liberal arts school. Master's program, community college, PhD program, middle school. Got a little bit of middle schoolers. Hello, middle schoolers. Medical school, law school, trade school. I mean, that's a very, 164 people in trade school. That's interesting. I said sort descending. My computer is like, this is very hard, Hank. There's an awful lot of data on the screen right now. In school, no job. I have a job and I like it, 24%. Hello, good. In school, with a job, 22%. Other, I have a job and I don't like it. Meh. I don't have a job and I need one. 4.3% is literally the unemployment rate of America. So that's remarkable. But it's the unemployment rate of people who are looking for work. So actually, nerdfighters are way more employed than the average person, which is, again, not super surprising because we're well-educated, well-off group of people, it seems like, in terms of trends, not down to individuals. Because you have a lot of people who are not in school. And so, if you take out that percentage, I'm pointing with my finger. If you take out this percentage goes down. Or does it go up? It goes up. It would go up, right? Oh my God, my brain. It's too early. I did not get a lot of sleep last night. If you take out in school with no job, that percentage goes up. Okay. I don't have a job and I need one. It's actually higher than average. Never mind. Okay. Yes. I have determined that is in fact the case. Because the employment rate, just for those of you who are curious, does not count people who are not looking for work. So only people who are looking for work, which are I have a job and I need one. And I don't have a job and I don't want one. 556 people. It's all kinds of reasons why that can be the case. Have you ever seen, actually that's way lower than average. Stay-at-home moms and people who are caregiving relatives and etc. People who are retired, people who are children. Have you ever seen a Crash Course, SciShow, or Vlogbrothers video in school? Yes. That is a huge percentage. Oh my God. That's massive. Most people aren't even, a lot of people aren't even in school. So that is crazy. That is bonkers of a number. That takes my breath away. I shared a healthcare triage video with my health law classes in school. I'm a teacher. I show them in school. Crash course got me through medical school. I'm a teacher and I show them. Thank you so much to teachers who show them. Lots of teachers. It's the school and teacher are the top ones of the text responses. So thank you so much. That's wonderful. We are in so many schools. It's nuts. It's been a bit of a rough year. How are you doing? Not great, honestly, is a big percentage. I'm sorry to 28% of you who are not doing great, honestly. As good as can be expected, pretty well, actually. That's a big hunk of people. I'm glad about that. We've got other responses here. And we can see what they are in time as they load. As David Mitchell said, it's personally adequate and internationally disastrous here. No, I actually have watched that. I'm a big fan of British panel shows, so Big Fat Quiz is always on the top of my list. Doing not great, life, getting, going, depression, stressed, ups and downs, guilty. Guilty. That's an interesting word to pop up in there. Do you now have, or have you ever had, a secret snake? That's a huge percentage of people. 2,000 people who have had secret snakes. That's unacceptably large. Twitter followers. I've asked this question for years, and I don't think that I should include it. I don't know what it's not telling. I don't know what it's telling me. Do you consider yourself wealthy? So yeah, we talked about this already, but I find this very interesting, and I'm glad I asked the question. Do you have children? Yes. 3,567 of you have children. People seem to be starting out in the beginning of their lives mostly, but a huge percentage of that group. So I don't know if 10% of people who have kids are currently pregnant. That seems like a large percentage. But think you must be able to click both of these because, of course, you can have kids and also be currently pregnant. So, yeah, 300. So congratulations to 329 people who are currently pregnant. That's wonderful. I'm very excited. Which best describes you? I watch every single new Vlogbrothers video as it comes out, and we can look at this one over years. Which best? Which best? Nope, not there. All right, well, just 2 years. I never watched Vlogbrothers in here this year, but maybe I shouldn't have. But they do exist. It's about the same, but with more people watching every new video. In terms of percentage, but of course, also, there are fewer people still filling out the survey. I watch all of John's new videos immediately and get to Hank's eventually. No offense, Hank. I'm the one who reads the survey. Why'd you have to tell me that? I see all that come out, but only watch what interests me. I used to watch as soon as they came out, but I've been busy and haven't watched for like a year. But you heard about the survey, which is good. Used to be a daily viewer, but have less patience than I used to. Want to spend time on more educational stuff. You have less patience than you used to. That's, yeah, I mean, I don't understand. Like, we fill up every moment. Tend to wait a bit and then binge a bunch. Yeah, I do that too. I do that with a lot of my favorite YouTubers. I'll add all the videos I'm interested in watch later and then watch them when I can. I don't watch for a while, then I binge. I bet if we did a text analysis, we'd see the word binge show up. Yep, binge watch. Interesting vlog. Interesting. So people who are finding things interesting. In 3 words or less, what are you worried about? We got to go over to our pretzel people here. 3 words. And do a text analysis. Let's guess maybe that Trump is at the top of this list. List view, future, and Trump. So yes, we're worried about the future. We're worried about Trump. Money, life, school, college, climate change, mental health, job, death, family, politics, family and politics, failure, global warming, finding things, yeah. Debt, happiness, career, environment, humanity, net neutrality, losing, America, anxiety, grades, student loans. Yeah, that's a really interesting one to do text analysis on. I hadn't actually anticipated that. Trump destroying America, life after college, starting school again, political identity politics, bomb money babies. Bombs, money, babies. Sure. The wrong choice. Yeah, I'm worried about the wrong choice too. Failing uni. Feeling sad forever. Yeah, that's not a good one. That is a scary feeling. But you won't. Things do get better. Most things, reaching my potential, my mother's disappointment, master's thesis exhibition, future job, getting through my degree, paying off debt, my heart health is the one that I'm sure you should be concerned about. When did you start watching Vlogbrothers regularly? Let's look at it. So we can look at this over the years and see how it changes. 2007 is... This does not change very much. It's really interesting that the 2007 slice stays roughly the same size. But I guess like once people have been around for a while, they stay around. And of course, like all of this is going to end up being spread out. But what you'll see is that in 2013 here, most people started watching in 2012. In 2014, most people started watching in 2012 and 2013. In 2015, you start to see that like we had a bit of a peak here. And then, yeah. And then these, of course, all these things are going to shrink every year, except for like the most recent year. But yeah, the 2015 percentage has gone down. The 2016 has gone down this year. So yeah, we definitely had a peak, and a lot of the people from 2012 to 2014 have stayed around, which is wonderful. Thank you for doing that. And also like there's just a lot more categories for people to be in, so the most recent year is going to be a smaller slice. But yeah, yep, it feels like we are growing less, which, to be fair, is something John and I talk about doing intentionally. Would you read an occasional email update from us? Yes. 34,000 people said yes. And then I said, if you actually do, 22,000 people gave me an email address, and I've turned it off so you can't see them right now. And I think, I'm not actually sure that I could put you into a mailing list, but I'm going to try. Valerie's mad at me for doing that, but we'll try and make it work. Uh, well, was it Valerie or was it Victoria? I can't remember. I feel like it was Valerie, but it makes more sense that it would be Victoria. How much time do you spend watching TV, including streaming TV, per day? Not a very much. None is a lot of people, 1 or 2 hours. I probably watch 1 or 2 hours of TV a day if you average it out. How much time do you spend on the internet per day? Some people, some very small number of people, less than an hour. 2 to 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours, more than 8 hours. A lot of time. People spend a lot of time on the internet. And yeah, I don't know. It'd be hard for me to spend more than 8 hours on the internet, but maybe I do. I don't know. I spend a lot of time sitting at this desk, that's for sure. How many books do you read per year? None, 1 or 2, 3 to 10 is a big hunk of people. But then there's like this long tail of people who read a lot of books. Is great news for a guy who's about to publish a book. And I've looked at this question over some years. So people are reading fewer books per year. And, it's probably because they have more things that they have to do. But more people are reading this like 3 to 10 threshold, which is, in my opinion, sort of like where the meat of it is. Like that's probably how many books I read. I probably, if you count audiobooks, I consume more books than that. What John Green books have you read? Everybody's read all this. Oh my gosh, Turtles All the Way Down got orange. That's just by random chance. So people are still reading Turtles. Gotta get out there, get those turtles, people. Everybody's read Tifios. If you like Tifios, I got a book that I'd suggest for you. What are you reading right now? We gotta go over to our pretzel. What are you reading right now? Text analysis. Turtles All the Way Down. So people are out there getting it. Reading school series, school books. People are reading for school. Harry Potter. People are reading Harry Potter right now, you guys. They just can't stop it. I can't tell what any of these are. Oh, Turtles All the Way Down again. Neil Gaiman, maybe? Game of Thrones? Brandon Sanderson? Let's see. We gotta look at the directs. Giant of the Senate, Turtles All the Way Down, Harry Potter, Cursed Child, Can't Happen Here by Sinclair Lewis, Anne of Green Gables, that's nice. Good Omens, Brandon Sanderson, just came out with a new book, Oathbringer's new, so probably people are reading that right now. Emma, sci-fi, Call a Midwife, The Martian, okay, yeah. I was hoping the text analysis would be more helpful there, but mostly it's like the word reading. How are you reading it? Physical book, e-reader, tablet, smartphone, audible.com. So 4% of people on Audible reading their most recent current book. What causes are most important to you? Come on. Pennies, coming in last. Cancer research, animal rights, sustainable farming, hunger, immigration, global power. I bet immigration has changed spots in recent years. Let's see if we can check that. I'm hungry, you guys. This is going to be by far the longest census ever. There's just more stuff to go through, you guys. So let's go over this for the last 3 years. Causes. I'm just going to go to the top of this. So, women's rights, education, social equality, women's rights, the environment. Education, social equality, the environment, women's rights. Social equality, education, the environment, women's rights. Okay, economic, social justice. Immigration is 40%. Immigration was 32%. And the immigration was 25%. So yeah, that is the thing that has unsurprisingly shot up the list as it has become a more important and worrying issue. Global poverty has dropped. Economic inequality has increased. What else went up above global poverty? Oh, yeah, what else? Social justice, women's rights, the environment. Yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting. Like, it's kind of a surprise to me that that's that high on this list because it doesn't tend to rank very high on the sort of nationwide polls. But I guess it makes sense. And there's a big drop from the environment to women's rights to economic inequality, and then this sort of like gets sort of the thick pack in the middle there. Okay. In this box, you can put. So I've created a document. I'm going to be sharing it. It's in the description of this video, but it's also I'm going to put it on Twitter and stuff, so people can check out what people said. And there were 24,000 responses, and a lot of them are quite long. And if you want to just scroll to a random page and read those, I think that would be great because I've read a lot of them, and they're really helpful and thoughtful for the most part, and cool and interesting. So check it out. Yeah. I liked that. I liked that experiment. Is there anything that you don't like about us, the stuff that we make, how we communicate, and etc.? 18,000 people answered this, which is kind of a surprise. But a lot of people said no. Just no. Let's see if we can get any insight from our pretzel people. With text analysis. Nope. Guys, community videos think nah. Wish. Can I see all the answers that have the word wish in them? That would be interesting. Maybe, if it happens. Oh, wow. Sometimes creators try to find different ways to connect to their fans, but still it feels like we're looking up at a pedestal, screaming our words to the guys sitting above us. I mean, this is sort of a structural problem, but yeah. Sometimes it's frustrating to me that we're both just human beings. You do so many amazing, wonderful things, and I wish either or both of us could run for office and fix this crazy world. Sure, man. Yeah. I like your stuff. You're creating I wish you weren't so serious, like in your old videos. I definitely have heard that comment. And I think that we get silly sometimes, but we're older. Audience is older. Silly actually can take more time sometimes and also be like stressful. And going out in the street and giving away peeps is just not something I do anymore. I wish you were more publicized. I wish I'd known about you when I was in high school and college. Me too. I wish there was, or if there is, I wish I was connected to a big master list of what's going on in Nerdfighteria. All the meetups and projects, things. Well, we try to do that with the newsletter. Victoria does a cool thing, so hopefully if you're signed up for that, that'll be good. I wish I had a Nerdfighter community near me. I tried to build one in Bloomington, but it failed because I don't have the necessary time to invest in it. Yeah. Like real life is not something that we have invested in either, like doing chapters in schools and stuff. I wish your videos were longer. Nothing else aside from that. Well, you are the only one. So oh no, you're not. This person too. But we have asked people if they would we have polled, and the last time we polled, people were like, no, 4 minutes is the rule, and I like it. Community is politically slanted. I wish it were more balanced. I mean, you feel that way, but not everybody does. I only wished I hadn't searched for secret snake. Urban Dictionary's definition was very strange. Oh gosh. Now I feel bad for having done that to you. Wish there were quizzes that went with the educational stuff. We're actually working on stuff like that. Sometimes it does feel very scattered, and maybe this does exist, but if I've missed it, I wish there was one big hub. Yeah. Probably a giant Reddit somewhere. There is. But yeah, it's hard to have a big hub because there's so much of it. And part of the reason why we create other stuff is because we know that some people are going to be less interested in this topic. And so let's break it off and put it in its own place. If we want to do a bunch of it. And I wish I could like your podcast, but there's so many silly advice podcasts out there. I don't understand why people make them. It's fine. You are not required to like anything that we do. Turtles All the Way Down felt very short. I wish some of your merch was a little more subdued. You don't want big giant pizza face on your chest? No? Okay. Yeah. I agree. We have some more subdued merch. I'll take that to heart. I think that we're thinking about merch a lot right now. I hate the upload schedule. I wish I could see Vlogbrothers content every day. Well, I understand that I could go somewhere else and see you. We're not going to make videos every day, my friends. I also know that it is nearly impossible. In regards to the community, there is something like the Discord community forums from Tuatara that I don't feel completely comfortable taking part in yet. I know a lot about Vlogbrothers things, but I don't feel like I ever know enough to participate. Might just be my anxiety. I wish I knew more people IRL that watch Vlogbrothers and self-identify as Nerdfighters. Yeah, you can find them. That's part of why you gotta wear that Pizza John shirt. Be like, this is not subdued. I'm looking for people. I don't know. I wish I felt more included in the community, but that's my personal fault. I wish that VidCon hadn't become a big and unfriendly compared to the early years. It's very big. Yeah, it's big. And when we did NerdCon Nerdfighteria, it felt much more like that. And we would like to do NerdCon Nerdfighteria again. It's just hard. Like, it's especially hard to get all the necessary people to a place, because I don't know that Indianapolis is the right spot to do it, and most of the people are in Missoula, Montana, which is like not it's not close to anybody, and it's hard to get here. I wish VidCon could be closer to the Midwest every so often. I'd be able to go. I wish there were more ways to connect with the community. I wish you'd give New Jersey a chance. I apologize if I've ever insulted New Jersey or any state. Every state is beautiful and has wonderful people and places in it. And I say nasty things about Florida, and I say nasty things about California, and maybe I also say things about New Jersey, though I don't really remember doing that. Yeah, I apologize to all the people from those places. I wish the Reddit community was more active too, but I think it's getting stronger. I wish you would use gender-neutral pronouns for people who write in the pod instead of just assuming their gender from their name. We do that sometimes, but oftentimes the people will indicate their name. Or oftentimes I feel like when people will say, will tell us their pronouns, and it's usually when people tell us their pronouns that we use the pronouns, and otherwise we will assume gender if it is a gendered name. We try to do that anyway, but some people do write in with their pronouns, and I suggest that people do that if they want to. That will help us. Wish you could be more open about your current status, wealth, emotionally, etc. My current status emotionally, I feel like I can be pretty open with. My current status with wealth, I do talk about that on Twitter. I haven't talked a lot about just sort of being well off at this point as a relatively young man with a small family. And I'm like super interested in that because I think that like being super taboo about it is weird. But the video I did with the financial diet, I think it's on their channel. So go to the financial diet and you can see me talking about that with Chelsea. She's pretty upfront. She's like, so talk about being, having more money than almost everyone. Certainly not rich like rich people, like the ultra rich. It's very interesting. Once you have money, you realize the difference between having being rich and like having 10 million or 50 million. Like the difference between like 10 million and 50 million is huge, and the difference between 50 million and 100 million is huge. And then you look at people and you're like, you have billions of dollars. That's just weird. And it's fascinating. Wish you could go back to the Monday, Wednesday, Friday video scheme. Yeah, I feel you. All right. So yeah, going through the wishes was interesting. What else did I search for in here? I could do that text analysis again and see. Genitals doesn't equal gender. When referring to gender, please don't use penis to mean men and vagina to mean women. I don't think that we do that. If we did do that, we have stopped doing that. I see. It's not we're being mean. This is just people are saying the word mean. I tend to lean more conservative libertarian politically, which means I sometimes feel that with current events, you are ignoring entire parts of the situation or argument. It's probably true. It's very hard to get out of the echo chamber. And it's very hard. It's also very hard to, even when you do have good arguments for maybe why things should be different or maybe why your arguments are weak, you don't want to talk about those things because you don't want to weaken your arguments. So, yeah, it's hard. And I don't know how to be that person, and I also don't know how to be sort of politically engaged right now in this world. So on Vlogbrothers, we just haven't done that a lot. I feel like it's too silly sometimes. That's like the opposite of what other people have said. I feel like you derive too much meaning from things that don't have much inherent meaning, but I probably feel that way because I tend to be sad and you tend to be happy. I do find meaning, and that is a thing that I like about me, and I hope other people find helpful. I don't tend to watch the videos about the U.S. A lot of people said, please, you talk a lot about the United States, and I'm not from the U.S. And yeah, it's only 60% or something of our audience is from the U.S., so we should be conscious of that when we're let's talk about the election for 2 straight months, which we have stopped doing as much of. So I'm glad that we're not being mean. You know what I mean? I mean, like most internet communities, it can be a bit of an echo chamber. Yeah. But so yeah. Okay, good. We're not mean. Yay. What else do we got in the text analysis? Silly, white, not particularly, good work, important, difficult merch. Let's look for white and see what people are saying about whiteness. The heavy skew towards social justice topics feels like you're fishing for an argument. I just don't think we do that. Inability to understand that there are parts of the U.S. where whites are a minority population and deal with immense social pressure as a result. I mean, I don't know. I definitely haven't looked at that particular thing in the face because I don't think that it is a hugely common thing. But I do recognize that my community of people on the internet, the echo chamber that I am in, tends to assign like a certain like uniformity to white people that doesn't exist, and that there is a sense that if you're just talking about race, that you can always punch up at white people as long as you're not including any other categories. But we have to recognize that in America there are a lot of white people in poverty. There are a lot of white people who are oppressed by their community because they're in poverty. They're treated badly by police, and that there's not like this uniform, like you can always say negative things about white people and always get away with that. And I feel like in my community right now, and I think that that's something that I never do, and that I don't criticize other people when they do it, largely because I see that being done by, I don't know, oftentimes it is white people. And so it feels like, well, I feel like you're going at your own self a little bit, and so that's punching it, criticizing yourself in some way. But it's not. It's bigger than that, and I do worry about that. People out there that are genuinely hostile to all white people, that's. You also have to recognize where the roots of that come from, which is that white people are hostile to those populations as well. It's not a one-way street, and I don't think that we should consider it to be a one-way street. But yeah, that's hard. It would be good if you sometimes feature voices of perspectives that aren't those of cis, straight, rich white men. I mean, yeah, I agree. And we do that when it's paternity leave time. It's just that it feels weird to be like, hey, okay, this week on Vlogbrothers, we're going to have somebody who's not a green brother. So continue to keep yourself accountable, and as straight white men, always make sure you're being good allies. Needs more diversity. I see your videos. When either one of you is in the office, it seems like we don't have only white people working for us. That's for sure. I don't know. Our office is more diverse than Missoula, but I do live in a very white place. So I chose to live here. I chose to not leave. By looking at race, basically, we're pulling out a lot of, I think, the big fears and worries of the world right now. I just think there's a lot of frustration about, and there's a lot of tension right now about identity and how that fits into the conversations we need to be having, and whether and how that makes life different, more difficult, less difficult, but also just different for different people in the world. It seems very white and capitalist. Oh man, I don't know about that. I guess maybe. I'm pretty white and capitalist. Honestly, for a couple of straight white guys, you do surprisingly good at being kind people. Oh, I mean, that's just such a weird thing to say. There's lots of kind white guys. The more open you are about screwing up, the better. But I can't think of a solution for the years in a community like this ever. You set a pretty good example for people. Well, thank you. Let's look for people who said the word y'all. So just people from the South. Southern United States, right? People outside the Southern United States say y'all. I mean, I do, but What up, y'all? Is your big boy Quint. Y'all consistently make life a little better. Love y'all. Also, I'm gay. Y'all are awesome. Glad you did this again. Keep being awesome. Y'all are doing great. Y'all shaped my 12-year-old self, even though I'm glad I've changed a lot. I value what I learned from your channel and the community, so thanks lots. Oh, you're both amazing. Glad you existed on the earth. Y'all have made such a dramatic impact on my life. It's weird that it did not include the apostrophe. It only searched for y'all, it appears, because this guy here who used y'all didn't catch that one, but it caught this y'all over here that didn't have the apostrophe. Anyway, comfort. The videos and podcasts are when I've been struggling with anxiety and PTSD. That's really wonderful to hear. Let's go over and do, like, we gotta do the text analysis. Let's do the text analysis over here. DFTBA community guys video, awesome book. Y'all was in there. It's in there. Come on. That's weird. DFTBA high school work content. Hank. John's not in here. But I guess everybody knows that I'm going to be the one looking at it. This is the last question, by the way. And there's another page here that's VidCon related. I could go through that, but it's not really Nerdfighter related. And I've been doing this for a very long time. This is like a 2-hour-long video. Okay, well, I really appreciate everybody who's reading the whole thing. But let's keep going. Let's search over here for community. Vlogbrothers was my gateway into online communities. Thank you. Thank you for making me love reading, even if I was in my 20s before I did. I was also me, by the way. I was not a reader before my 20s. I'm a slow reader. I don't have a great connection between my brain and my eyes and my brain in that way. Some piece of it breaks down for me. So I'm a slow reader. Thank you, as always. As I've become older, I've been drifting away from the community. I have my own little community of friends and family now. Wonderful. Great. I hope that you still watch videos. But yeah. I can never thank you enough for building this community. It accelerates passion, empathy, and intelligence. My life and the lives of so many other... Oh, gosh, dang it. This is all so great and cute and wonderful. And let's search for Hank. Let's search for messages that were specifically sent to me. And hopefully that slash will get cut out, because it takes forever to search for anything on the Nerdfighteria census here at SurveyMonkey, because it's difficult. It's difficult. I've always loved John's books, Crash Course, and enjoyed Dear Hank and John since it's been a thing, but seeing you both together on the Turtles tour was an amazing experience. I'd love another opportunity to see you on tour together. Maybe Hank's book? Or just live again. Yeah, so fun. I love that so much. It was the best. It was just such a wonderful time. I would really like Hank to come to my school and be next to my colleague Jamie, who looks and feels like Hank. Sorry, I like being at home, though. Hank, you have instilled me a love of science and inspired me to pursue it as a future career. I've been having a rough year, but getting to see some of the tour and meeting Hank at the ice cream parlor in Nashville. Hey, that was wonderful. That's the soda parlor, by the way. It's called the soda parlor. Wonderful. Hey, it was nice to meet you. That was I had a really wonderful time in Nashville. It's such a cool town. Hank should get a hamster and name it Hank 2.0. You guys are great. I love Turtles All the Way Down, and I'm very much looking forward to Hank's book. Woo! John, thank you for your wonderful writing skills. Your books are amazing. Hank, even though I haven't listened to very much of your music, I know that you're a great writer and singer. Both, oh my gosh, my computer is breaking now. It is crashing. It cannot handle the outpouring of kind words from you people. Hank, please make more games with Hank because I love them. I'm sorry. I've not played a video game since my son was born, except for the Mario that I did with Catherine for Project for Awesome, which I'm currently editing if you got that perk. Extra thank you to Hank for taking the time to let me know how you read my How to Meet Hank notes from VidCon Australia. Oh, yeah, I did. Sometimes when I get notes from VidCons or other events, people will leave their Twitter handles and I'll tweet at them. I'm glad Dear Hank and John exists because now I feel like I have something like old Vlogbrothers again. It is. It's more than that too. Like it's a reunion video every podcast. It's a time when John and I are like really actually spending dedicated time together. We always talk for like 15 minutes or an hour before or afterwards, and that's really nice. And I love that it's like a community conversation because we're getting to interact with people who are sending us questions, and also sometimes people who are sending us notes that aren't even questions. They're just updates with on how their lives are going. So yeah, Dear Hank and John is one of my absolute favorite things, and I'm so happy that people like it because that makes it easier to convince my brain that it's something that I should be dedicating time to. That's just the way my brain works. I had a brief conversation with Hank on the phone when my siblings met him in Chicago, and I so fondly remembered how awkward I was. That's nice. And John, man, everything he says and writes has such a direct line into my emotions. All right, you guys, thank you so much for your kind words and also your thoughtfulness and the people who have said that we're very white and capitalist. Things sometimes seem very white and capitalist. It is really good to get some feedback, constructive as well as just, people saying that they really appreciate the work that we do, because we do work. And having that positive feedback means a huge amount. Understanding the community means a huge amount to me, and something that I think a lot about and would not be able to do well without the census. So thank you to everybody who was able to take the census. I think that next year I will change it a little bit so that it is less of a giant, huge thing. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but maybe something different that will let people participate even if they have very little time to participate. Just give us a little bit of information and a little bit of feedback so that I feel like there's a selection bias to a survey that's 78 questions long of people who, we're selecting for people who are more dedicated to the community and also who happen to, at that moment, have time. So I want to get as accurate a picture as possible, but thank you to everybody who took the time. I know that it's a huge investment, and it is an investment in this community, so I really appreciate you doing that. I feel as a personal gift to me, but also as a gift to our content and to the future of what we are doing here, which I think is really interesting, and I like it a lot. So thank you, and I hope that you have a lovely day, and that this was a good time for you to spend, maybe not all at once over the course of weeks of watching this video in little snippets. But thanks. Sorry that it was so long. There's a lot to go over and so much interesting information. Thank you all, and you will see me on Vlogbrothers and hear me on Dear Hank and John and etc. DFTBA.